Hey everybody, thanks for tuning in to Red Dirt Rods. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Today we are working on our LS Turbo project, and we're going to refresh this set of 862 heads that we're going to slap onto our LM7, which will get boosted, and we're going to toss it into one of our cars, maybe our 66 Cadillac. We'll see. But first thing we're going to do is we need to break down the cylinder head. We're going to take the valve springs off. We were replacing the original valve springs with these trick flow dual spring valve springs. These are good for 650 lift, and our cam is under 650, so we're good to go there. Comes with new retainers, keepers, and valve seals. We're going to clean up the valves. I'm going to show you a couple of tricks on how to do that quickly and easily. This is a budget turbo build. We are not spending a ton of money. Now, yes, this particular kit is not cheap, but it came with our cam that we got from Summit Racing. We're also going to use this valve spring compression tool and pop these out. So first things first, I've got the head set up here. The rockers are off. We're also going to use this Comp Cam's valve spring compressor, and we're going to show you guys how to do it for your project. Okay, so we've got our cylinder head. These are 862 castings, which are good heads, suitable for what we're going to do. Like I said, this is a budget turbo build. So we've got the rockers off except for one. I'm keeping this one in here to keep the pedestal mount in place. I'm going to take this piece of packing paper. I'm just going to fold it up a little bit and flip this head over, pack it up in there. Now, I've already done the other head for this engine, so I know that these valves are a little sticky. I'm probably going to have to give them a little love tap to get them to drop out. So we'll deal with that here in a minute. Take our tool. Comes with the correct bolts. Just snug them up there. Then this piece drops in here. All right, so I've got our spring compressor set up. I'm just gonna use this clamp to lightly clamp the head to the table. There it goes. Okay. Sometimes you can pull them out by hand. Sometimes you need a magnet. We're not reusing these, so I'm going to toss them. We're going to remove the compressor. Okay. Now, if all we were doing was replacing the valve springs and the seals, we could stop right here, pull these, put the new ones on, and keep going. But this engine was not taken very well care of. When we rebuilt it, there's a ton of varnish and junk, and the other head had a decent amount of carbon buildup on the exhaust valve. So we're going to show you guys how to clean those, and then we're going to lap the valves and show you a quick way to get that done for a budget build. Go ahead and pull the springs. Got our pliers. We're going to go ahead and pull the seals. Okay, those are junk. Get our magnet. We're going to pull the little plates. Again, we're tossing all of that. Here's the bottom of the head. I'm going to go ahead and pull this out. What is that? Okay. Whoa. Yeah, I don't know what that is. I hadn't gotten this far on this head. There's a piece of plastic, and it's possible this is from a... No, that was the intake. I don't know where the hell that came from. This looks like a piece of plastic, maybe from the intake. It's big, and it was just sitting here inside the intake valve, so that's really interesting. Okay, so this valve, despite a giant chunk of plastic, is in pretty decent shape. We've got a box here with some holes. We're going to stick that in the number 1. Now we're going to take off the exhaust. Now if you look here, that's pretty crudded up with carbon. It's a pretty good lip on there. So that's what we want to clean off. So I'm going to go ahead and sit the head over here. All right, is this the exact perfect right way? Not necessarily. If I was in a machine shop, I'd throw all these valves in a parts washer and I would steam clean them and get them all nice and pretty, but I don't have one of those, and neither do most people. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to chuck this up in my drill and I'm going to clean it. If you don't like it, let me know in the comments. If you've tried it and had problems or it worked great, let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. So one of the things I'm going to do is protect the end of the valve. Okay, so for that I have a little silicone boot. This is just like a vacuum plug. You can get these anywhere. I'm going to chuck it in my drill. Doesn't have to be tight, just tight enough. Now I'm going to take some throttle body air intake cleaner. You can use this stuff. You can use carb cleaner. You can use brake cleaner, but this will break down the carbon pretty quickly. So I'm just going to spray it on here. I've got a small piece of scotchbrite. Now, I'm not going to touch the valve seat. We're going to save that for lapping. I don't want to damage the valve seat, but I am going to get all the way up in here to the throat and get all of this goop off. Whoa. It needs to be a little tighter than that. I'm just going to pinch it. Okay, most of it's already off. Flip this direction. All right, that's good and clean. So some of you might be saying, well, now you've destroyed your valve seal because you've taken material off the valve. Well, this is a hardened valve, and this is red scotchbrite. It's not going to make a lick of difference, and I can show you. Calipers, I'm going in the flat section. Okay, 3.12.5, checking where the valve stem seals in the guide seal. Then we're going to come down here where we were actually cleaning. But basically all we did was polish it a little bit. With new seals, that won't make a lick of difference. Now normally what I would do is completely disassemble this head and do all of these at once. But for the video, we're just going to do the one cylinder. So now we've got our head. And because we have removed the valves, they are not going to be in the exact same position. Once the valves are in and the valve locks are seated, the valve doesn't spin, it just opens. So they will have developed their own little sealing area. So in order to, because we've taken them out, that's not going to be the same. So this would leak if we left it alone. So we're going to use some valve lapping compound and a lapping tool, and I'm going to show you two different ways to do this. First, I'm going to clean the seats. You don't want any of that carbon or crud to fall in between the valve and the seat, because it's just going to get ground in when you do the lapping, and you're not going to get as good of a job. And we're just going to do a quick lap. You don't have to do this step. I'm doing this for the video so that you can see what we're going to get. So this is Dichem machinist die. It's not going to affect anything. Okay, I'm gonna spray that, and I'm gonna spray the back of the valve. And we're gonna let this dry for a few minutes. This stuff dries really quickly. What layout fluid or die-chem does is it colors the surface, and this will dry. It's very, very thin. As we grind this, it will show you if you have a good seat or not, because if you have dips or high spots, it's going to show you that on both the valve and on the seat. If you have big dips that you can't lap in, then you need to do a valve job. Now, the one thing that I don't like about valve lapping is that on an old valve, unless you spend a lot of time cleaning this surface, which isn't really necessary for performance because within a few hundred miles, it's going to look just like this again. What I don't like is that no matter what you do, they don't stick. So it makes it a lot harder to sit there and spin it. So I'm going to show you a trick that I like to use. So now we're dried up. I'm going to take a little bit of lube. You can use engine oil or WD-40. I'm going to spray the valve stems so it doesn't stick. Take our valve grinding compound. You don't need a ton. I'm just going to do about half. Okay. Drop that in. Make sure it spins nice and easy. Okay. All right, so then you can take your valve lapping tool, and if it'll stick good, you can sit there and just do this. And about every 30 seconds or so, you want to take the valve out, spin it 180 degrees. Okay, but I don't like that way. I like the fast way. So I'm going to take my silicone boot, stick it back on the valve, then I'm going to chuck it up in my drill. Okay, set my drill on slow. I'm going to start spinning, and I'm going to push the valve in and out. Then I'm going to switch directions. And I'm putting light pressure, just barely pulling on this thing. Okay. Pull the sleeve off, and let's see what we've got. Okay, so then I'm just going to clean this off. Got a nice even ring of contact. It looks really good. And we're going to clean the compound. So we're going to wipe this compound off onto this side so I don't waste it. And I'm just going to wipe this off. Now we've got a nice, even, smooth transition and seal. These should seal really nice. Once you're done lapping in your valves, you really need to clean the head really good. You got to get inside all of the runners. You got to spray this out with brake clean, or put some engine degreaser in there and hose these things off. Whatever you're going to do, put them in your parts cleaner. You want to make sure you get every bit of that lapping compound out of the head, because it is liquid sandpaper. Basically, it's just going to eat stuff up if you leave it in. You definitely want it off of the valve stems, and you want to make sure that there's none inside the valve guide. Now we just need to finish the rest of these. If you're worried about the die-chem, don't be. As soon as you hit this thing with some brake cleaner, that stuff's going to wash away instantly. We put some more valve lapping compound on. We put some WD-40 in. Don't want to forget the little silicone boot. Okay. Pull the valve out. Now the exhaust valves on this engine were a little pitted. That one looks pretty decent, but I think I'm gonna run this again. That one looks pretty good. Go ahead and wipe this off. Oh yeah, that valve seat looks really nice. Oh yeah, we got a nice looking seat. It's a nice wide contact patch. Looks really good on the valve. We're good to go. So I'm gonna go ahead and do one cylinder at a time. I'm gonna spray this with some brake cleaner. Get a fresh towel. This is clean even though it looks dirty. And clean all of these ports. Make sure there's none of that valve compound in here. Wipe all the die-chem off. I'm gonna go ahead and spray the valves down while I'm at it too. Okay, go ahead and clean the valves one last time before we put it all together. To give you the details on the Trick Flow spring kit. So this is the double platinum LS dual spring and retainer kit that Summit sells with their turbo spec cam. And these are 1.304 dual valve springs. They come with new titanium retainers. They come with all of the seals. They come with the locators and new keepers. They also come with shims if you want to use this on a set of LS7 heads. So they've thought of that already. To prep, we're going to take a little bit of our assembly lube, just put it right there on the tip. Wiggle that around a little bit. Oop, wrong one. Wrong hole! If at any point you feel any kind of grit or any resistance, go back and clean. I like to spin it around and push it in. Get it lubed up real good. The exhaust valve. Make sure everything slides in nice and easy. All right, we're gonna flip this over. First, our locator. Put one on each side. We have already cleaned these pieces before we started. We're gonna take the new seal, put a little bit of lube inside. They make a special tool to install valve seals, but I don't own that tool. But I do own a 12mm socket which fits perfectly over the spring and seal and just touches the body. So it's a good tool to use. You just take it, put it on, square it up, and push it down. Okay, there we go. Make sure that's nice and seated. Then, new valve spring. New valve spring. A couple of these retainers. I'm going to go ahead and wash those. Our process has thrown some muck around, so I'm going to get those cleaned off real quick. Put those titanium keepers back in. Then we get our install tool. Now these are really tall springs. So you can use this tool a couple of different ways. Normally you would use this indentation down so it keeps your valve where you want it, your spring where you want it. But these springs are too big, so you flip it over and use the flat side. If you try to use this tool flipped over like this, it will move these springs out of place, which is difficult to say the least. Okay, then we just all right. Now we'll compress. When you're doing this, you want to make sure that your valve stems are clear of the retainers. Then we put our keepers in here. I like to pull the head up a little bit. I might even angle it off the table and push the valve down just a little bit to make sure it seats before I let the pressure off. There we go. That's all there is to it to refreshing an LS cylinder head. So we've got new valve springs, titanium keepers, all the good stuff we need. Plus we've lapped in our valves and we should be ready to go to add boost to this LM7 for our 66 Cadillac. Thanks for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe. We'll see you next time. Let's make magic.